Something is telling me to record this video. I don't know what, but the topic is recovering from heartbreak. And I'm not going to give you some sort of list of soft ass advice about it. I'm just going to talk about my own experiences as someone who has had her little heart broken several times in her life. One major heartbreak was when I was 18, I think. I dated a man for 3 years, my first relationship, huge heartbreak, and that one really opened my eyes. I was dating essentially the devil. I was dating a demon, okay? He fucking hated me, and I really cared about him at that time. And then from then on, I became a monster. Again, I'm lying. That's not what happened. I actually still had an open heart about men because I would project my love onto other people. And at this point in my life, I know that that's a dumb thing to do. So I'm going to talk about what didn't work for me. Drugs and alcohol didn't help my heartbreak. No, actually, after that relationship with that man, I definitely went down a route of just turning up, getting lit all the time, and numbing basically everything, okay? To me, that was how I coped, but I wasn't doing it as like a victim and hoping that someday it would heal me. I was like, I just don't want to be here. I don't want to feel anything. And along with my trauma from my childhood, I don't need to unload everything on the fucking internet, but along with my trauma in my childhood and along with my trauma with dating that fucking man, it was just constant numbing, okay? And I have been sober now for 4.5 years. So 2021, I became sober. I finally decided to stop being a fucking victim. And up until that point, I think I had 2 boyfriends, very short term, because again, I learned from that long relationship that I don't really want to put up with a lot of shit, okay? Like, I could see the red flags, and sometimes I do stick around a little bit after I see the red flags. I'm like, you know what? Let's see how this plays out, even though I know exactly what's about to happen. The same red flags appeared with the other relationships after that. And luckily, I didn't stay in another, 3-year-long fucking hell with the other 2 boyfriends. And then I became sober. And after becoming sober, I didn't look for something inside of me to be filled, or I wasn't looking for something outside of me to fill me. I started doing like real internal work that was very difficult. I didn't go to a therapist, okay? Like, I'm still crazy. I'm joking, but I didn't go to a therapist because I have my own opinions about big pharma and the mental health industry created by men for men. I was in school for psychology, so I have my own opinions on it. So I don't really fully believe in those things for myself, and I knew that I was completely capable of healing myself because I saw the bigger picture of what it meant to heal mentally. And I found out on my own, okay, with what I know about therapy, with what I know about actual healing. Hold on, my lips are dry as I'm yapping. With what I know about therapy and with what I know about healing, most therapies are actually just talk therapy. Most therapies are you sitting there and expressing things outside of yourself. And if you learn anything about, a spiritual sort of healing or releasing trauma from inside your body and expelling it out, that's essentially what you're doing in talk therapy. You are releasing things from inside of you because oftentimes we hold a lot of things in our heart, in our sacral chakra, and I can't remember all the chakras off the top of my fucking head right now, but we hold it all right here, okay? We hold it all right here. And when I started putting 2 and 2 together for my own healing journey, I started setting up my camera just like this, okay? Not this camera, but I started setting up my cell phone, and I started doing talk therapy by myself, okay? This is after I became sober because I was like, I really want to heal. I really want to fix myself. I don't want to go down this same path of hurting myself and hating myself. And in order to move through that, I had to deal with all the reasons of why I hated myself. And again, I don't want to trauma dump on here about all my traumas, so I'm simply going to talk about relationships. I would grow attached to people because as most human beings, if you attach to people, it's because you are looking for someone to attach to you and feel something inside of you where you are missing something. Whether you grew up not being validated, not being seen, not being heard, oftentimes that's the case with a lot of people, actually, because I find that a lot of parents didn't actually know how to show kids that they hear them, they see them, they understand them, because they have their own shit, okay? Parents have their own shit. Every family dynamic, every history in your family is different. Everyone's life experiences are different. I'm not gonna say forgive your family if they abused you or anything, right? Everyone can make their own choices on how they deal with their trauma. But from what I saw when I started going on my healing journey, for me, it was a lot of the way my nervous system was reacting and needing to be picked, essentially, because our nervous systems, they start developing in the womb, and then they start attaching to our mothers, okay? I know that we often go into fawn state with our nervous systems, and we are essentially putting aside all of our boundaries, putting aside even like the thoughts in our minds that are telling us to run. We are saying, no, just pretend you like this, pretend you enjoy this, and just stick it out. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. And oftentimes that's what my nervous system would do in relationships. So I would ignore red flags. I would put away my own boundaries, and I would put other people ahead of me. And this wasn't just in relationships, it was also with friendships, because I really wanted people to like see me. I wanted people to see that I cared. I wanted people to see that I saw them, you know? So I would go out of my fucking way to also help people. And I would also just like basically throw away my own humanity to help people sometimes. That's a different story of a girl that I had living in my house, and I had to throw her ass out because I realized she was trying to finesse me and stay in my house without paying any rent. So, you know, again, I worked on my boundaries then as well. I wasn't sober yet, but back to the point. So once I started connecting all these dots of why I am the way that I am and why I was numbing the way that I was, with stimulants and with alcohol, you are essentially also changing how your nervous system is reacting to a lot of situations. People with ADHD, that's also kind of why they take stimulants, because it kind of cancels out the overactivity, right? With depressed people, you try to take uppers in order to balance out the depression, okay? Or with alcohol is kind of like a downer, and you take alcohol to suppress like anxiety, I guess. I was doing uppers and downers because to me, I needed to level out and just numb. That's what I was doing with uppers and downers, numbing the entire nervous system, numbing my entire body so that I at least was just present. Because with my life and with my trauma, with the things that I've gone through, I would oftentimes think about the past, and I would put myself in this state of literally being in the past. Like, I don't want to give myself labels of CPSD or anything like that because I've already worked through a lot of these things. But essentially, it's kind of the same thing. CPSD is basically the same thing as regular PTSD. When people talk about, you know, war veterans having flashbacks of like them in the battlefield, with CPSD, you essentially have memories flying by in your mind throughout the fucking day, essentially like flashbacks. And instead, you can't like, maybe you can jump, but I wasn't doing that. Essentially, I would freeze and I'd just be thinking and spacing out and, you know, the 1,000-yard stare or whatever. But over time, I obviously developed a way to, you know, hide that I was having some sort of like flashbacks about trauma, because it wasn't just my childhood. Like I said, it was also this relationship that I was in when I was younger. And again, and that was my first relationship in my life. So naturally, that kind of flipped some switches in my brain. So after I became sober, this was my first time becoming sober. I'd never told myself I'd be sober before. Like, I'd never had this idea in my mind that I'd be sober ever. I imagined myself being old as fuck, drinking with the friends. That's exactly how I imagined my life. I did not imagine my life being sober ever, okay? So I decided to go sober on New Year's because I didn't go out with anyone on New Year's. No one invited me to go out. I didn't really have any real friends, I realized. And I was like, oh, none of this was real. It was all about just like fake surface level relationships. And to me, when you're getting lit, like, you don't really care if you have real friends or not. You kind of are just like cruising with whoever. As long as they're getting lit too and we're all turning up and having fun, nothing really fucking matters, right? On New Year's Eve, that's when I realized that I didn't actually have friends. And then the next day I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to become sober. And so I did. That's how it happened. There was no me breaking my sobriety. I just stuck with it. I will say that throughout like my first maybe year or two, I used to have like dreams about breaking my sobriety, and there was like nightmares actually. I would have nightmares about breaking my sobriety, and I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh my God, thank God. Oh my God. Because in the dream I caught myself a few times and I was like, no, don't do it, don't fucking do it all this time. Or like I did something in the dream and I was like, I just threw away all this work that I put into being sober for nothing, to hang out with losers and just get lit. And then I wake up and I'd be so fucking relieved. I mean, for a moment I was like, did that really just happen? Sometimes I get flashbacks and I'm like, was that real? Was that a dream? Okay. But no, I've been sober for 4 years now, and I worked through a lot of my trauma simply by becoming sober by myself, and simply by setting up my camera and talking to myself the way that I am right now. Okay, I'm in a room by myself. I'm talking to the void or whoever's watching right now. And I'm hoping that this reaches the right people. I'm sure it's going to reach the wrong people as well. But I know that healing doesn't cost any money. That's what I know. I know that it just takes time. That's basically my message. Let me not cry and get emotional, but I kind of just hate to see everyone run around in circles looking for like the answers to healing or to growth. And you know, books and whatnot are great about self-development. It's good to know these things, but you don't have to spend any money to heal. I have found that out myself. You simply just have to give a fuck about yourself more than anyone else has ever given a fuck about you, because it's unlikely that people cared about you, and that's why you don't care about yourself. I think that's the root of the problem with a lot of these things is people didn't see you, people didn't hear you, people didn't understand you, and so you didn't hear or understand or see yourself. You kind of became like this outline of a character in society, almost like you were invisible. And I don't think anyone should feel like that. I don't think that anyone should feel like there are no answers out there for them. I know that oftentimes we feel like we need to go pay professionals or we need to get on some sort of medications to become better people. And I personally don't believe in that at all, because like I said, with what I was studying in psychology when I was in school for it, and with what I've learned along the way by doing my own research on things, I see that everyone is capable of healing themselves. And that's like one of my biggest things here, because, you know, on my TikTok, I talk about who men are, but I also haven't really talked about who women are, because women and men are both traumatized, broken individuals on this planet. That's who we are. We're born into trauma. We're born out of pain, most likely. We were growing in our mother's wombs out of heartache already, most likely. It is very unlikely that our parents were in love, because they also went through their own trauma, didn't heal, and then they got together and they made a baby, most likely out of accident. So what I'm saying isn't super radical in saying that everyone's fucked up, because I do believe everyone's fucked up. And because I know that everyone's fucked up, I've seen the last few weeks how fucked up people are. But I also know that I'm kind of my biggest enemy. I'm like my biggest hater, essentially. At least I was. I no longer am. I don't fucking care. At this point, I don't fucking care. I've gone on TikTok with like a bald filter. I probably look bald right now because my hair is pulled back, but I didn't want it in my face. But I see how broken everyone is. Both men and women, our parents, our parents' parents. I see how everyone has things that they bury. I see how everyone is running from the things that they need to heal. And then I also see everybody running to relationships to see if they could find some answers within there. And I personally know that I can't find answers in relationships. I have to find them on my own time. I've been single now for like 2 years, and prior to that, it's never been that serious. I wasn't jumping from relationship to relationship. There was always increments of time in between, because I need time to like heal and think about what I just went through, and to, you know, essentially erase people from my memory, right? But so I guess that's part of my story and kind of how I'm even here where I am today. I'm not some sort of, you know, mental health specialist. I'm not some sort of self-help guru, if you will. I kind of just have my own story and my own experience of how I got here. And if I could do it at 26 years old by myself with no help from anyone, then I know anyone can fucking do it, because I'm not some sort of like genius. I'm not some sort of, you know, specialist. I'm not some sort of prophet with this information, but I know that everyone is capable of healing themselves. And you don't have to search outside of yourself to heal. You don't have to read books to heal. You simply just have to sit with yourself and look in the mirror. That's like the best place to start, is looking in the mirror and speaking the hard truths of what actually hurts you, why it hurts you, and then you start like breaking all the layers of pain, because likely you've been stacking layers on top of layers of pain inside of yourself and not releasing anything. Okay, that's kind of the point, like I said, about talk therapy. And simply just letting it out, even like I am right here, is very healing. It is extremely healing to just share your story. And you don't have to talk to people on the internet like I do. You don't have to post your videos online, because I haven't posted those videos either. My therapy talk sessions are probably like 25-minute videos in my iPhone that I'm not going to post at any point. Maybe in the future at some point. Maybe that'd be interesting to share for progress or something. But literally just sitting down with my fucking camera and my phone has helped me heal. As insane as that sounds, because usually it is the fucking phones. But in that case, I don't know, like it worked. I'd say that was a very pivotal thing for me healing, was expressing all the things that I was bearing and all the things that I was numbing, right? And you don't even have to do it with a phone. You can sit in front of a mirror. That's another method. And you literally have to talk to yourself. The reason you do it with the phone is because there's a camera, but you could also do it in front of a mirror and simply talk to yourself and just say things out loud and stop suppressing everything. It feels silly, it feels stupid. I'm sure that this might feel silly and stupid to some people, but to me this is natural now. I actually really like talking out loud and seeing if I can like find people that relate to the story and if I can help somebody with this. So to me this is like natural now, I guess. So I hope this video resonated with you even a little bit. I know that my story isn't completely unique. I know that we're all connected. I know that all of our traumas and stories overlap, and I know that I don't need to trauma dump entirely on the internet in order to make connections, but I think even just pieces of my story can align with other pieces of other people's stories. So I just want you to know, whoever's watching, that I see you and I hear you and I feel you and I understand you, especially if you made it this far. I think I said everything I needed to say. Yeah. Healing is never ending in a way, but also it doesn't need to feel like this heavy burden that you're always carrying, because as someone who used to carry the past with me in a fucked up like bag of luggage next to me all the time, I can tell you that I have let go of all the pain that I've ever held about myself, all my insecurities, all my mistakes, all my traumas. Like, I don't revisit those anymore. Instead, I look forward, okay? And being present and looking forward is a really big key in any sort of healing that you want to do, because staying in the past is just stealing time away from you. It's pulling you back into the past. And I know that you don't want to go back into the past, because I know I don't either. So why live back there, you know? But yeah, if you made it this far, thanks for watching this video. I definitely just feel like I needed to share this message, because I said, why the fuck not just record it, post it, and whoever it finds, it finds. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments if this style video is something you want to see in the future, because I do like this way of talking and not really trying to plan things and just like letting whatever message come out that has to come out. And hopefully it reaches the right people. Hopefully it resonates with the right people. And that's all I could do, is just show up. So this is me showing up for y'all. Okay.